Hey guys, and welcome to Neat Video Tutorials. And today's topic is repeated frames and repeated noise. Repeated frames and repeated noise can make noise reduction less accurate and less effective, so we need to know what can be done about that. First, let me explain what repeated frames are. Basically, repeated frames are the frames where the content remains the same when you switch between adjacent frames. They can occur in your video for a couple of reasons. First of all, your camera's shutter can stay open for a period of time that is longer than the duration of one frame. This can happen, for example, when you shoot in low light conditions. In such a case, camera duplicates some frames just to maintain the required frame rate. And when that happens, we can see that some frames are just identical. You can also get repeated frames if you artificially increase the frame rate in post. For example, you've got a video that was shot with a frame rate of 25 fps and you use it in a 30 fps sequence. The editing application, in my case Premiere Pro, duplicates some frames to conform to the frame rate. These two cases were about true repeated frames. However, there is one more case to look at. We call it repeated noise. Repeated noise is the noise that remains the same or almost the same on two or more adjacent frames, while the scene content of those frames actually changes. Repeated noise can be caused by in-camera noise reduction or by an aggressive video codec. Both in-camera noise reduction and some codecs can treat flat areas without detail in a special way. They find a few frames with an almost unchanging flat area and save just one copy of that area for all those frames. It means the noise in that area also stays the same in those frames, making it repeated noise. Okay, and how do we know that a video has repeated frames or repeated noise? In most cases, Neat Video automatically identifies repeated frames and marks the thumbnails with copy or rep signs. This video has both signs, but usually it's one or another. I just wanted to use this example to save you some time. Copy means the marked frame is identical to the previous one, and the filter will handle it on its own. You don't need to do anything. Rep is short for repeated. It means the filter believes the frames are very similar, and you should check if there are repeated frames there indeed, and then possibly use the repeated frames mode. Now let's talk about repeated noise. It's much trickier to identify it, as the content of the frames is actually changing, but the noise patterns remain the same or almost the same in some areas. Neat Video doesn't automatically identify those, so we need to do that manually. Now I'm going to move between frames, and your job is to look at the spots I've marked with red. As you can see, some noise in these frames doesn't change much. The picture itself changes, so the frames are not repeated here, but the noise is. The problem with repeated frames and repeated noise is that they make it difficult for the temporal filter to identify those bits as noise. Noise elements remain unchanged for a few frames, so the filter sees that repeated noise as details rather than actual noise. In this specific case, you can see the repeated noise fairly easy. However, in most cases, it's very tricky. That's why we always recommend doing repeated frames check. This mode emphasizes the areas of the frame where repeated noise is present. And if you had a nice and clear picture in profile check mode, but repeated frames check shows some noise left, that noise is repeated noise, and you need to handle it. Now, when we have identified some repeated noise in this video, let's see what we can do about it. First, we need to make sure all the previous steps have been done correctly. If you haven't done profile check, go back to the Prepare Noise Profile tab and check if the profile has been built properly. Make sure all the noise has been removed from here. Once you're happy with the profile, follow the steps of the filter settings check. Do noise level check. The blue mask should cover areas with no movement. And then go to the local flicker check. This mask should also cover areas without movement. This looks nice. Then turn on repeated frames check. and it makes it so easy to see repeated noise. So what do we do with these bits of noise? First, bump up the radius for temporal filter, because it's actually better to use more frames when repeated noise or repeated frames are present. Now I need to specify the amount of repeated frames by changing the value of repeated rate. I could inspect individual frames for repeats and calculate the percentage, or I can just try to directly adjust the repeated slider and see how that would affect the noise reduction results. And we recommend doing it that way, as it's just easier and faster. Go up as much as you need to remove all the noise, but stop as soon as you see that noise is not changing anymore, but details are getting lost. 0% mean you have neither repeated frames nor repeated noise, and Neat Video won't really use repeated frames mode with the clip. And 100% tell the denoiser that all the frames are repeated, and the filter will be very aggressive. Try to find the right balance to remove as much noise as possible while retaining details. I'll try 50% first and then decide where to go next. In my case, 50% isn't enough. Now let's try 60 and 67%. And keep in mind that I always keep my eyes on the image to see how that's affected by the change of repeated rate. 67% looks good. It means 67% of all frames in this video have repeated noise. I'm finished here. Now I'm going to create a new variant of filtration to compare results with repeated rate adjustment and without it. I'm resetting the value of repeated rate to 0 and switch between two variants. As you can see, the difference is massive. And let's see it in playback. And side by side. With the correct repeated frame settings, Neat Video has done a fantastic job and made this video look much better. That's all, guys. If you have any questions on how to use repeated frames or about video noise in general, shoot us a message or leave a comment below. We will be happy to help. And bye for now!